I'm with Dr. Stephen A. Brody here in his medical offices in San Diego, California. And Dr. Brody, you've come out with a new book called The Blue Zone Diet. And there's tons of other diet books already on the market. What is it that makes the Blue Zone Diet a book that everybody absolutely must read?
Yes. The reason we put together this book is because we believe that, just as Hippocrates stated, let your food be your medicine and your medicine be your food. We know now how important lifestyle, nutritional supplementation, and food is to human health. Now, this is not any new news. However, there are only three macronutrients. Macronutrients are proteins, carbs, and sugars. And there are about 200 micronutrients that are critical to human health, like coenzyme Q10, like vitamin B12, like ascorbic acid. Now, in the past it was believed that all people medically and biologically were very similar. But a huge study was done at a lipid research center in the Midwest and the Southwest that showed that all human beings fell into one of four separate and distinct categories with respect to the way that they metabolize fats, proteins, and carbs. Not all people are alike. One simple blood test, and it's not a blood test of pH, and it's not a blood test of a blood type, and it's not a blood test of personality, and it's not a measure of a Rorschach test. It's a simple lipid blood test. This test does not change from when you're 1 month old until you're 100 years old. But this blood test, called the ApoE phenotype, is a critical determinant on how you metabolize fats, proteins, and carbs. Now, the absolutely amazing thing is that which blood results you have and which phenotype you have determines what's the healthiest diet for you. In other words, there are basically four categories, and each one of these four categories requires a separate type of diet. The person from this category, the 4-4, does not want to be on the Atkins diet. The person from this category, the 2-3, certainly doesn't want to be on the Dean Ornish diet or the South Beach diet. Now, isn't it true that every single diet book in history has just lumped everybody together, taken all comers, and just assumed that all people were alike? And in this sense, it didn't make a difference whether you metabolize fat and protein and carbs in this way or in that way. And therefore, you could end up on the wrong diet. The diet that in your case will lead to cancer or heart disease, or in this case lead to diabetes or osteoporosis or sexual dysfunction and memory loss. We tested a significant number of couples in which we took people from each of these four genotypes and tested the three basic diets on each of those groups. We have determined, based on these measurements, exactly what the best dietary regimen should be for each individual. So let me really summarize. All people fall into one of four different types of categories in terms of the way they handle, break down, and metabolize fats, proteins, and carbs. Don't choose one dietary type until you know what your specific ApoE phenotype is, and then follow the Blue Zone diet based on that determination, and you will have long life, healthy life, and increased quality of life. In a sense, this trumps every diet book ever written and any diet book that ever will be written, because this is the only book that segregates, separates, and breaks down each individual in terms of the way that they handle food groups. You can't lump everyone together and assume that this diet is good for everybody. That's the secret of the Blue Zone diet.
That's great information. Now, if somebody wants more information on the Blue Zone diet, How do they get a hold of you? And in fact, I know that you're launching a newsletter where people can actually sign up and start getting tips and information more about the Blue Zone diet, ways that they can lose weight, and more information about the 4 different body groups. How would they go about getting a hold of you for that more information?
We recommend coming to our website at bluesonediet.com. You will learn a ton of information. I hope we can get your interest. And please understand why we call it the Blue Zone Diet. We call it the Blue Zone Diet because there are about 6 or 7 places on Earth. They're called blue zones in which everyone lives to the age of 100, 105, or 110, or even more. Please learn these simple principles. I hope this book helps you. I know it will if you read it earnestly.
Awesome. So again, go to Dr. Brody's website for the Blue Zone Diet at www.bluesonediet.com. Get some more information, and more importantly, sign up for their free newsletter and start learning how you can start following the Blue Zone Diet now. Dr. Brody, thank you very much for your information.
You're welcome.